the talkback. Raise the music. Okay, wait. One of these week tracks, as part of the WTS week track selections.
Yeah.
It's sneakily pilfering something from a song. It's the... What's that from? I can't remember, man.
That's my bad, man. I can't pick up on it.
Super popular song. Classic rock, maybe. Oh, I don't know. I'm sorry.
No, that's all
I
good.
slowed the bit and I clipped on the talkback and
which is fine because actually I'm playing both off of the same source, so volume was going to be an issue. So let's jump to the talkbacks. Of course, talkback of the day. Yeah. We'll pick one before the end of the show. Right. Here's I think this is Gavin.
You remember last year reports came out that the Vikings made a strong offer to move up and draft Anthony Richardson. Could this be an indication that the Vikings might covet a dual threat athletic quarterback similar to Jaden Daniels, rather than a pocket passer than we might think? Or could this just be an indication that they're confident that O'Connell can work with any type of quarterback that they get? Thank you.
Bruh.
How about that?
The talkbacks are the bomb.
They are.
The talkbacks are, well, they're not always fantastic. Today, they're fantastic because it's very interesting how Gavin framed up that first part of the question. I do not believe the Minnesota Vikings made a grandiose offer to move from where they were. Where they picked last year? 23?
It was
around there.
23, yep.
And Richardson fourth. Okay, yeah. I don't believe they... Yeah.
So it stems from a report, because I looked this up as well, because after the draft...
I'll just tell you that, they didn't.
After the draft, Kwesi, talking to the media, said that Bryce Young was the only quarterback that they would have been interested in moving up for. And so, but all that steam into the draft, he's completely accurate, was the idea of, well, Richardson's sitting there at 4, let's make him an offer they can't refuse. But this, I think his name's Brett Coleman, and this is from January. He was on with Mina Kimes. And here's what Brett said. I don't think people realize how hard the Vikings tried to trade up for Anthony Richardson last year. Like, the haul that they put on the table was massive. They were going to give away the entire farm and all the cows.
No, he's wrong.
They were going to give everything, but it takes two to tango. No. And ultimately it didn't happen. Nope. So he was alluding to the idea the Vikings might be motivated to move up again this year.
That's elevator music. We can stop right there. I mean, you can believe what the guy says. You can believe me. You can not believe. You can do whatever you want. We are not, this is not force-fed radio. I'm telling you, I don't believe there was ever anything that involved X amount, like 3, 4 first round. You think getting from 10 up to 4 is expensive? Go ahead and try to get from 23 up to 4. I mean, come on. Okay, so whatever. That's my man's intel. And
to his point, it would have taken all of the cows.
Yeah.
He is correct about that part of it.
Yes, all of the cows in 2023, 2024 also. So, I mean, that's a lot of teats. A lot of teat milking there for old Anthony Richardson.
I knew we'd get there.
But on the other side of it, Gavin, with the good instincts, is, it's I mean, there was somebody over there who really, 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 really liked Anthony Richardson into the draft. So I think Kevin O'Connell as he either was quoted last year or something when he was talking about the quarterbacks, it's my belief Kevin O'Connell really liked Anthony Richardson. So I find that part to be right. The metaphorical selling of the farm, I absolutely do not believe that to be the truth.
All I can think about now is Lavelle at the State Fair with a bright orange Star Tribune polo, milking the cows in the farm booth. That's all I can think about now.
First teats he would have gotten since the pandemic.
I always love that one.
The talkbacks that we're playing, let's get that talkback boat sailing. Talkback Tuesday, KFAN. Takes and talkback talkers include opinions on the Vikings and the NFL draft, and formulate those bad boys in a way you verbally are burning your boats. Which means there's no turning back, boys. iHeart app, baby microphone, hopefully be heard. We are 16 days from the NFL draft, so why not unfurl 16 takes, talkers, and or tidbits off which you can play if interested, or just drive those opinions like you ain't got a dime in it. Copyright Russ or Ross Bohatti. I believe it's Russ. Number 1. Spielman getting loud about the Vikings moving up to draft J.J. McCarthy still befuddles and intrigues me. Number 2, Spielman suggesting a Justin Jefferson trade makes sense. All right, 3-2. Spielman suggesting a Justin Jefferson trade makes sense, still intrigues me, and is a bit befuddling too. Number 3, where I got motivated to write the bit. Wondering aloud what Rick Spielman has up his sleeve with those assertions. It's the splashiest he ever has gotten as a media member or GM. Number 4, whether attending the draft party at US Bank Stadium or taking it in elsewhere, if the Vikings can't or don't trade up for a quarterback, what will your reaction be? Talkback Tuesday, free iHeartRadio app, baby microphone, fire away. What will your reaction be after everything we've heard and ascertained and former GMs, given guarantees and things like that? What will your reaction be if they don't trade up for a quarterback? Number 5, if the Vikings were drafting J.J. McCarthy, why would they reportedly send their entire coaching and personnel staff to the Michael Penix workout? 6, the Washington Huskies had quite the explosive offense the last couple of seasons with Mr. Penix. So maybe that entire coaching staff was not there for Penix. They were there for offensive lineman Troy Fautanu. Deep first-round type on the shorter side, which means he'd be a mean, game-changing guard here. Yeah, I said it. Oh, my gosh. Number 7, feeling like the trifecta to start things in 16 days will be Williams into Daniels into May. Would you bet that pick 3, or are you finding that I'm wrong? That'd be the trifecta, the pick 3. Williams, Daniels, May 3rd. I'd make that favored, but being in this market, as we know, sometimes long shots win.
Patulny able to regroup, then it's poked away by Burke, who takes over. Pushes it up ahead to McGregor. Holy Cross coming down with a 3-on-2. McGregor from the right side, centering feet. Oh, my God!
Sorry, KFAN.
Number 7. Number 8. If I gave you 20-1, Rube Nation, if I/we 9 to noon gave you 20-1, the Bears will have the offensive and defensive rookies of the year. Would you take it? Caleb Williams and defensive player du jour at or around 9. If I gave you 20-1, would you bet 10 to scoop 200, 100 to scoop $2,000? The Bears will have the offensive and defensive players of the year. Rookies. Offensive and defensive rookies of the year. Number 9. NFL.com's Chad Reuter has the Vikings staying put at 11-23.
Stop him!
And selecting Texas defensive tackle Byron Murphy II and Oregon quarterback Bo Nix. He also has Denver trading to 4 for J.J. McCarthy.
Sorry, KFAN.
Number 10. 16 days in front of the National Football League draft. Yours truly motivated until that 3 o'clock piece started with people speaking into microphones who aren't necessarily made by God to speak in front of that many people. Somebody couldn't figure out their buttons with the lights being red and green, kept having to call the guy's name, and it was one of the most boring things I've ever watched in my life. May God bless everybody. So 16 takes, talkers, TDM, tidbits, and all that. 16 days in front of the National Football League draft. Number 10.
Speculation.
Can't figure out which rookie name I like the best. Kool-Aid McKinstry, Chop Robinson, or TJ Tampa.
Hello, you're on the air.
Number 11. DraftKings odds and ends. Jaden Daniels is the minus 160 favorite to be selected second. Drake May is the minus 135 and favored choice to go third. Marvin Harrison Jr., minus 175 to be selected fourth. And J.J. McCarthy, plus 175 to land in that spot. To some, might look good enough to eat.
Hello, you're on the air.
Number 12, NFC North speculation. DraftKings has Detroit and Green Bay co-favored with a wins total of 10.5. This is NFC North speculation. DraftKings has the Kitties and the Packers co-favored with a wins total, season wins, 10.5. Next, the Chicago Bears, 8.5 wins. Then, the old Vikings at 6.5 wins.
Sorry, KFAN.
Hung a 6.5 on us, you say? 6.5 measly wins? Come on. Number 13. Who thinks the Vikings win more or fewer than 6.5 games next season? Text and talk back more than people know on that one, please. 6.5 wins?
How you doing?
Are you kidding me? Number 14. Wondering if defensive coordinator Brian Flores has interest in Dolphins' Xavier Howard, a corner he coached in Miami, who, by the way, is still a free agent. And Xavier has had quite the accomplished career. Of course, he would come here and Spearfish would make us call him Xavier, and he'd get beat 15 times.
I always love that one.
Just how it works. Number 15. Thursday, 9 to noon is at Twin Cities Orthopedics Performance Center, and General Manager Kwesi Adofo-Mensah is scheduled to join the show. That's Thursday, 9 to noon, Twin Cities Orthopedics Performance Center. Kwesi Adofo-Mensah, the GM, yours truly, 9 to noon. Finally, number 16. Sauce asked me yesterday for the 79th time if I haven't got any steam, and I glared at him because I was in a bad mood and hurt his feelings. So I found him and reminded him, Saucy, I love you. And then said, steam? What do I look like, Rick Spielman?
I always love that one.
And all is good with the 5:30 a.m. to noon covenant. Talkbacks, tickets, next.
And
find a talkback champion of the world. Yes. Got anything left?
Hell yeah. And thanks to everybody that does this, by the way, listening to the free iHeartRadio app. You hit the microphone, you give us up to your best 30 seconds. And as I mentioned earlier, somebody's going to win a pair of passes to the Miller Lite Vikings draft party. We've been doing it now for nearly a week and a half. 2 Thursdays from this Thursday. Thank you, Pep's Draft House Pizza. But I've got a couple of talkbacks here. Let's start with this one.
Hey, Nordo and PA.
Hi.
With Spielman's recent comment about what the Vikings are going to do with trading up, does it further confirm the idea that they possibly have a handshake deal with the Patriots or Cardinals to get up to 3 or 4? With all the people that Rick knows within the organization, did somebody leak that information to him? Conspiracy theory stuff, but it just kind of adds fuel to that fire. Thanks, guys.
I kind of like his tinfoil hat a little bit. And we mentioned, maybe it was closer to when Houston we did the trade with Houston. We acquired the second first-round pick. That kind of felt like, okay, maybe there's a conversation with Monty Ossenfort with the Cardinals. I forget what the new guy's name is in New England with the Patriots. It's not Bill. We know that.
No, it's it's Stuart Elliott or something.
Elliott Wolf is who it is. Yes.
Yeah, it's Ron Wolf's kid.
So the idea of at some point they've had those conversations. They've floated the idea across the table via a phone line to somebody that there would be a handshake deal in place. And on top of that, there's also I got another talkback, but it was so staticky and garbled I just wasn't going to play it on the air. But there was a listener who kind of asked, like, can you just call the Cardinals and say, hey, here's what we got, but call us back if somebody has a better offer, and maybe we'll work with that or adjust to it. Like, in terms of the draft day trading process, like how that whole thing works. And I feel like most people would be in the dark. We see videos from time to time of somebody making an 11th hour deal within the 10-minute period to make something happen and move across the finish line. But kind of the idea of whether it's a handshake deal on the front end, it's already almost set in stone, or at least the concrete's drying, and what the draft day trading fiasco or frenzy looks like, you know?
Well, all I have to add to that is, per the question, do I or we believe that he's been tipped off? And the answer is yes. And I don't know where. I believe the answer is yes, because Rick knows how it works. And Rick also knows, even overboard, like when he was GM, you say something like that, people pick up on it, then somebody picks up on that, and somebody picks up on that, then it catches fire and you got to answer questions. Well, he's not the general manager of this team anymore. So I'm not saying there is a nothing to lose approach, but I mean, why this team, that move up for that quarterback? Why not Vegas move up for whatever? Why not Denver move up for whatever? Why not so-and-so moving up for Marvin Harrison Jr.? Because he's been tipped off. And having done this as long as I have, the only way to have my discernment lead me to the fact that he's been tipped off to potentially exactly what the Minnesota Vikings are going to do in the first round is he put a name to it. If you don't put a name to it, well, then it's innocuous. Then it's higher end of everything everybody hears or reads or sees. But when you put a name to it and you have that cachet, having been a GM in the league 2 years ago, yeah, I absolutely believe he's been tipped off. Would have no idea from where.
Talkback machine.
PA, Jacob and Kimball. I'm a self-proclaimed proletariat football mind because I just spent the last 15 minutes scouring the dark corners of the web in search of quarterback comps. Kicking it off, Caleb Williams is Russell Wilson, Jaden Daniels is Jalen Hurts, Drake May is Justin Herbert, J.J. McCarthy is Kirko Chains, Bo Nix is a poor man's Drew Brees, and Penix is Tua till you're satisfied. Based on these comps, who do you like?
Go on and Tua till you're
satisfied.
Whatever it Tua. Hold on, a 17, 18, Tua. Well, that's it.
Song's over.
Proletariat. Workers of working class people.
Working class, yeah.
Workers or working class people regarded collectively. The growth of the industrial proletariat. Hey, well done. I learned a new word, and I like to learn words. There's so much bit in that thing. He's just trying to win a bit. What's the next talkback? He can win. The bit was good.
That's my talkback of the day.
Yeah, the bit was terrific.
I love that
I
guy.
can't remember the question. If there was a question, it doesn't matter.
Just which of the comps, but that leads me to and I have the text from that talkback as well. But let me play this for you.
Hey, PA and Nordo. Travis here.
Hi, Travis.
I'm wondering, what are you guys' thoughts on staying at 11 and getting one of the high-end defensive players available, and then also sticking out at 23 for either a Penix or a Bo Nix? I, for one, have been a fan of Bo Nix's, but I wonder if the people, the fans in the organization think Bo Nix and Sam Darnold's ceilings are the same. I'll take your thoughts.
After everything about which we've chatted for the last month and a half.
Yep.
And then the former GM comes over the top with what very well could be accurate steam, and you stay at 11, and you stay at 23?
So that would be an L for today.
What's next?
So I want to continue down that road for a moment, just because trade up. But there has been a swell from those that, why don't we stay at 11? The conversation around Kevin O'Connell identifying the idea of guys being drafted into systems are we trading up for J.J. McCarthy because he's absolutely just that much better than a Michael Penix or a Bo Nix? Is it such a glacier shelf, a Grand Canyon-esque chasm where
it's an unanswerable question,
and it certainly is. So, but that leads, and that's why I give it some credence in the idea of we're about to trade up for a guy. We're going to laud Kevin O'Connell because he's this quarterback whisperer, that he has a system and he has a vision that the guy he identifies to lead that's a guy that he can turn into a high ender. And so does it require that they trade up? And so that goes now into what's your flavor, right? The talk back in the day. Is it Tua? Is it a poor man's Drew Brees, et cetera? So, if we're going to laud Kevin O'Connell because how quarterbacks are drafted, the teams they go to, the systems that they land in are so important to their ultimate success in the NFL, we're going to laud him for his system. But we also then, yes, we absolutely have to trade up. There's no way that if the Vikings stuck at 11 and got a Bo Nix, or maybe they waited until 23, like the talkback, that there's no way that would turn out to find and yield some of the same results of making this move and leveraging currency for a May or a McCarthy. I give credence to the talker.
So do I, but it's an unanswerable question and always will be, because you can't take quarterbacks. Oh, this is a high-end example, and yeah, you can. Quarterbacks in the year Brady was drafted, okay, you can take quarterbacks in the first round and then take him and then say, look what's possible.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, he got into a situation that was perfect for him, and then he flourished. So, I mean, Caleb Williams may be in an awful situation. And I believe 90% of head coaches or play calling head coaches, if they could have any one of these quarterbacks, they would take Caleb. If they could just pick one. Well, that's not a dead cinch that he's going to be better than Drake May, Jaden Daniels, J.J. McCarthy, Bo Nix, or Michael Penix, because it's unanswerable. What you can answer it as time goes on. Okay, obviously.
Yeah.
But it's like if Penix falls into a Ravens-esque system, well, then he's not going to be able to flourish with the passing game the way Williams will with DJ Moore and the other guy they got, and O'Connell's 61% passing. And
how about that, though, by the way? Keenan Allen and DJ Moore, like rolling into that system.
Right.
That's a nice spot for Caleb year one.
So that's why I think it's unanswerable. It's fun to talk about. If you ask me, like if we went down the road on a segment on okay, so the Vikings draft a quarterback, who cares where?
Yeah.
Darnold and Mullins battling to play 5 games. If you ask me, after watching a week of training camp, which one is the right one and why, I could talk it out for an hour. And I can make it what I think is interesting. When it comes to why McCarthy and not Nix, I don't know.
Yeah.
And I'm not the rube that pretends to know. It's like Ben said, I and we have access to people, thought, and takes that most people don't. So, therefore, born of trust, you talk to them. They don't tell you exactly how it's going to go, but they lay things out like this guy's better under center. This guy's better when the offense is run this way. This guy's better with his shoulder shake to get a safety to move. And then you just kind of put it all together and you just let the discernment lead the way. And I'm still not at a point between May and McCarthy where, I'm 50-50. I would have bet, it wouldn't have been a pick 3, pick 4, or pick 5 because you got fools trying to eliminate things that have been around forever and it's just stupid and petulant and foolish. But nevertheless, I would have bet a lot of money on a certain quarterback 2 weeks ago. That's not the case anymore. But the closer we get to the draft, hopefully the Eagle lands. Likewise for the Minnesota Timberwolves. If the Eagle landing could be a top seed in the Western Conference, they got 4 to go. Chris Finch, coach of the team, started this Talker Tuesday. We had a 10-minute conversation. We'll play it back after that. Yo, Chris, we are striving for that 1 seed, a lot of action going on, Cap potentially on the mend. How you doing?
Very good, Paul. How about yourself?
Pretty good. Back from Los Angeles. I can see you. You have a little pep in your step into the final week of the regular season, then the play-in piece, and you're not part of that. And I know it's very important to you that you're not part of that. And then you dust yourselves off after a week of practice, and you get after it. You got a little pep in the step, don't you?
Well, yeah, absolutely. This is the time you need it. Kind of crazy. Last week of the season, we still have 4 games left to play. Feels like a lot, but we're going to get it started tonight here at Washington.
And approaching the finish line, indeed, with 4 to go, Coach, not just for yourself, but like, do coaches and players start to get excited for what's next? Or is it a little grindy because you know what's next? And you still got 4 in front of you, a non-playoff team to start, a playoff team to finish it with Phoenix. What's it like for the others?
Yeah, you know what? To me, I think there's excitement for sure about the playoffs, and there's, I think if you ask the guys, there's, some element of, wanting to kind of hurry up and get there. But to their credit, and just really with everything that's still on the table for us, it feels, to me, it feels a little more grindy. We still got some grinding to do. There's a lot at stake, and, we've set our sights to go for the number 1 seed. So that's what we're going to try to do here in these last 4 games.
And that's beautiful. And you and Denver and you guys right down to the wire. I mean, that it's been an exciting season, but it's even better right now with this final week. And Washington, your Wizards are here this evening. You and I about the same age, both from the East Coast. You Philadelphia, me Washington, D.C. Do you remember those late 70s playoff battles between the Bullets and your Sixers? Holy cow.
I do. I thought kind of some of the first basketball memories I have as like a young fan. So definitely those are kind of burned into my mind.
If you now, I think it was Bullets Spurs with George Gervin, Larry Keenan, Mark Olberding, Billy Paltz, guys like that. It wasn't the Sixers, but Dick Motta has that all-time famous phrase. So, hopefully you don't get down 3-1 in a series when the playoffs begin. But if you do, will you say to like John Krasinski, the opera ain't over till the fat lady sings?
Hopefully we can avoid that situation altogether. We don't have to come up with any clever saying.
Go ahead and go with that one in 2024. I mean, you talk about finding a way to ruin a playoff series. Holy cow! Now, when you play non-playoff teams, sniffing the off season, it's is it important to jump non-playoff teams early, or certainly at some point of the first half, and let them know this bad boy's over?
Well, that's what you would always like to do, get off to great starts. And that's something we've been trying to focus on, particularly at home. As we come down the stretch here and get ready for a playoff. Sometimes, the game turns when it turns. So you just gotta, but ideally you'd like to be super focused, come out with all the intent. Are you executing the game plan? Are the efforts all there? Sometimes it has to do with your schedule. Sometimes it has to do with your opponent. There's a lot of things that factor into it, but, we need to be focused and ready tonight.
And tonight, the Wiz here, 7:00 at Denver and Ball Arena tomorrow night. And the Nuggets, with whom you're tied atop the West, they're at Utah tonight and probably will win. So quite the slugfest between you two, down to the wire for that 1 seed. Why have you always liked the way you guys match up with the Nuggets?
Well, I think, we have size, of course, that helps us. It's been such the trend in the league for everybody to go with shooting and small ball and put a lot of shooting around maybe one big guy. But, Denver's, they have their best player is Nikola Jokic. They're not going to take him off the floor to go small. That allows us to continue to play our, size. We've pretty much committed to doing that regardless of what teams do anyway. So we're very comfortable. That's part of our identity. And I think that's part of it. Just they've been some version of themselves for a number of years too. They made small but significant roster changes for sure, and they've gotten better with their roster construction. And they, I think, have one of the most perfectly complementary starting fives in the league. But when you have like this knowledge that you build up over playing the team over and over and over again, and just kind of a bit of a refining process. And I say all that to say, like, it's really, really hard. They're a great team. And every time we play them, we have to make 1,000 adjustments within the game. And it's never the same. So, but we have a confidence when we play them. And I think that just comes from like a collective experience over the last several years.
Atlanta and DeJounte here Friday. Then the Suns Sunday at Target Center to close the regular season. And credit the Suns for last Friday, right? How did you see that game?
Yeah, I mean, great job by them. They've been playing in an outstanding rhythm coming into that game. We told the guys that they've been getting off to big starts. New Orleans and the Cleveland games, they had jumped them early. They came out and jumped us early. And then they just kind of never relented. We had one of those nights offensively, credit to them again. Some of it was their doing. Some of it was just bad shooting luck. We couldn't get anything to drop. We turned it over a bunch early. That kind of fed their run. So it's kind of a bad night. We've had our worst offensive performance against Phoenix, and our worst defensive performance against Phoenix. So, they've gotten our number twice, in a big way. So, we're going to have to kind of address that and figure out who we are against that team, on Sunday.
Chris, in what ways will next week with some days off help you guys physically?
Yeah, physically for sure. I think you get a chance to kind of regroup, get a kind of planned rest, and you can really periodize your training so you can ramp up perfectly. And I think also just mentally you can just take a little bit of a break, kind of enjoy the season for what it was. We may not know who we're playing based on the play-in scenario where we finish. So we'll have to wait to see where that unfolds. But if we do know early, then you can start really focusing in your training. So all of that just kind of helps your mental and physical preparation.
And what with Anthony Edwards, more so physically than mentally. I mean, he plays such big minutes, and he's such a great contributor. And the largest reason, quite honestly, are right there with Rudy as to why you're in this position. But if Anthony Edwards could get off his legs for X amount of hours or days, in what ways do you think that would help him?
Oh, I think it would help him tremendously. Everybody at this point of the season is either fatigued or banged up or in some way. So, guys will find another gear for the playoffs. They always do. But to be able to rest and recover heading into that is going to be key for him and everybody else.
And
I think the other thing with Anthony is you got to remember, he played USA basketball, so he had a long summer. And I do believe there were times this season when that's kind of all piled up on him,
And assumedly we'll have a chat next week. So more on this and more on the playoff pairing and stuff like that next week. But with Karl Anthony Towns, is it ramp up time next week?
Well, we're hoping to have some clarity this week about what next week looks like for him. So yeah. But it's all pointing in the right direction. All signs are good. The work has been amazing. The progress has been on point. So, let's see what the next couple days bring, and then we'll be able to have a plan, I would hope.
And would the belief be with Naz Reid, after starting so many games and playing against ones or starters for every team for so long, maybe if he reassumes a secondary role and hooks backups at certain times of the games, I mean, that could only benefit him, right?
Well, I mean, that's, how that's basically, the season he's had for us. To me, he's the sixth man of the year. and he's done an incredible job of moving seamlessly into the starting lineup. And his confidence has been sky high all season, and I don't see any reason for that to change. Heading into the playoffs here, no matter what his role is.
Thank you very much for the time. I know you have a coaches meeting coming up in a minute, and we'll talk next week. Best of luck with this week from Washington through Phoenix. Keep them all healthy, and I look forward to our next chat, all right?
All right, thanks, PA.
Yeah. Amen, brother! Tomorrow, 9 to noon, the return of Corey Chavis from DraftNasty.com to analyze the draft and some quarterbacks, plus Mike Florio from ProFootballTalk.com. Thanks for listening. I'm Paul Allen. Here comes the con. Here comes the wrap for the show.
Thanks to Casey's for bringing the 9 to noon show wraps. Whether it's Casey's Rewards, it's Casey's Pizza, it's always good. Stop into a Casey's today. I'm trying to write the rap, and I'm planning out what to say. Common's behind me singing Purple Prey. Tuning in at noon, Open's never the same. I mean, I'm hoping to get an update on his daily golf game. Anybody ready for this draft? I mean, some of these talkers are needing a life raft. Same names, different angles, the different ways we craft. Some ideas I'd like to throw down an elevator shaft. Just like this Kirk Cousins thing. Played the same tune until the snap of a guitar string. Needed a domino to fall, be able to look back. Now he's pumped to retire a Falcon, as he told Shaq. And we're on track. Wolves hosting the Wiz, keeping the top spot in the West, vital as it is. Twins offense under a spell, like by witches. I mean, that breeze you feel, that's our squad whiffing at pitches.
I'm a kid, so I call it KFAN.
Podcast today's Paul Allen Show, or listen back to previous show and interviews by going to the iHeartRadio app or KFAN.com.